Welcome. If you have watched more than one video, go ahead and subscribe. I welcome you to join the family today. I am rolling with Zach. Zach is a very good purple belt. He starts the roll by immediately sitting down.
I've been waiting my whole life for this. Oh, what? Come here. What you doing? Just give me your leg.
And he immediately gets an ankle pick within 2 seconds of us rolling. And of course I have to laugh my ass off because goddamn, that must be a record. I shouldn't approach him head on or else he's just going to have access to my legs. So I make an ankle and push his knees down in order to pass his knees. At this point, he gets a hold of my leg for a single leg takedown and goes in for the double. And at this point, I throw him by his head. I have got this front headlock before on big boys and got the top position. I've gotten this throw on purple belts and have gotten top position. I've gotten this throw on blue belts. The entire purpose of getting a takedown is to get top position. Now I ask you, why with Zach, top position wasn't achieved? This takedown is called the front headlock to pulling side control. Let's figure out what we can do differently next time to make sure we get top position. Anytime somebody has a single leg, you want to sprawl and make sure they don't get a hold of your second leg. I get him in a front headlock and then I put my foot in as a hook to do the throw. When we look at the throw, the first thing is Zach's foot position. Zach was able to get his rear foot on the ground and push off of that rear foot immediately because his break fall is impeccable.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Most people, when they start jiu-jitsu, their break falls look something like this. Because of this perfect break fall, Zach was able to push off his rear leg, much like a backstep high kick can get you out of a sticky hook half guard situation and pass guard. Upon doing some Google research, I found Marcelo Garcia's front headlock series. When doing a front headlock throw, the key component is, are they landing on the same side as their head? Or are they landing on the opposite side of their head, meaning their head is on one side and their ass is on the other, relative to your torso? That is the most important key distinction. If their head is on one side and their butt is on the other side, the key is to follow them and use your top side hook to keep on following them until you get a sweep. The beauty of the sweep is the same body position. If you recognize it, this sweep can be used all over the place. Let's say somebody is trying to high step out of your legs in order to pass your guard. You can use the same sweep. Once body position is recognized, you can see these movements throughout many different scenarios. If you find yourself in the position where you have basically a headlock on them, maybe a guillotine failed, maybe this front headlock throw wasn't successful, but any situation where you have their head and their head's on one side and their ass is on the other, there's only two directions they can go in this instance. Their ass can go backwards, in which case you can follow them, but if you can't get the sweep, your ass can go backwards. So you can either go forward and get the sweep, or you can go back and belly out to then get top position. It reminds me a lot like a rear naked choke recovery too. In jiu-jitsu, when you are in a shitty position, your number one goal is to prevent things from getting worse. If you have a failed guillotine, let go of the head or else you're going to set yourself up for them to get a head and arm triangle. Keep your elbows and knees tight together. This will prevent them from gaining access to your torso and getting side control. I end up going for a sickle sweep, but Zach perfectly defends by stepping out. He gets the sweep. Then I attempt to do a fat man roll, which I find does not work with bigger people. He posted out, he was unable to be rolled. I'm going for a step over escape. However, I know I have my back exposed. I choose mount over my back being taken because mount is a less shitty position than my back being taken in terms of positional hierarchy. And the less shitty option is Zach trying out this power mount and then accidentally dripping sweat into my face. This power mount has now become water torture.
Now it's water torture.
Zach gets in the mount position, and at this point you might be asking, Crystal, why aren't you going for any escapes? Like, why are you just laying there? Zach is doing something very interesting. He is putting pressure through his knees onto my ribs. Typically when people are in the mount position, their knees are on the floor, but his knees are right into the intercostal muscles of my ribs. And I've never been in this position before. So I wanted to see, like, is this going to be a full thing? Is this going to be like a slow, constrictive type agony? Like, I was very curious as to what it would feel like after a couple of minutes of being in this position. It felt kind of like a massage, but I'm sure having somebody on top of you for long periods of time, especially if they're heavier, more of like a zapping of energy than it is an immediate type of torture. Have you ever been waterboarded? Because this, my friends, is legit torture.
They're gonna sprinkle water on you? You do your best not to laugh. 15 seconds later, though, you're not laughing anymore. Welcome to the world of waterboarding, one of the most insidious forms of torture that's been used since the medieval ages. Back during the Spanish Inquisition, the Catholic Church had a problem. Witches and warlocks were everywhere. Eventually, the technique was refined and limited to a cloth placed over the mouth, with part of the cloth in the mouth itself. Then, water would be poured from a jug onto the victim's face, with the cloth absorbing the water and letting it into the mouth. This gave the victim an impression of drowning despite being at little risk of actually doing so. Waterboarding, or toca as the Spanish called it, was used extensively during the actual trial process.
Instead of pouring water onto a cloth, imagine a sweaty, soaked, thin, dry fit. When you breathe in, it sucks into your mouth and into your nose, sealing off any chance of getting in air. And on top of that, you have a 200 and something pounds of weight who is also putting down more weight on you with jiujitsu technique. So it feels like 400 pounds on you right now. We're watching modern day torture, which I can appreciate. If you are mounted, here's a key tip. In jiu-jitsu, keep your enemies close, but your elbows closer. Keeping your elbows glued to your ribs prevents a lot of BS from happening to you and is a great defense for beginners to always remember. It prevents a bunch of submissions, and if somebody has you mounted, pushing your elbows against their knee to get that inside position allows you to set up your knee and elbow escape. It also prevents them from getting their knees inside your elbows, between your elbows and torso. That would allow them to get high mount, which would render your hips useless for any type of bridge and roll action. Now, during stand-up, hand position is very important. I get the underhook, but it is not a very deep underhook. Zach is able to make it feel like I'm being Americana'd by my shallow underhook, then steps past and does a very nice osotogari. He's very nice about it. When somebody does an osotogari, they can really kick your leg out and make you fly and then land on you after. Even though he's technically trying to break my arm here, he's very nice. Now for armbar defense, the goal is to keep your hands together so they can't isolate your arm. You can do that by doing like a type of arm fold or keeping your hands together in a gable grip. From here, you want to get your head up and through their legs. That way you can then get to a guard position instead of getting armbarred. During this escape attempt, my goal was to get inside his guard, but he turned it into a mounted triangle position. And white belts, for beginners, this is going to ring true. Much of my experience as a white belt was being realistic about what wins really are. I came to the harsh reality that as a beginner, I wasn't going to submit everybody on the mat that had years and years and years of training on me. Realistically, a win was surviving just a little bit longer. So then you become knowledgeable in defense. For example, tucking my arm in allowed me to be able to defend an armbar from the triangle position and create space for blood flow to continue to flow in my arteries so that this triangle mount didn't turn into a triangle submission. That's the goal. Keep your joints intact and blood flow going. Zach gets a single leg. Every time I see an arm between my legs, my brain is like, break the arm. I attempt an arm bar and settle on a sickle sweep. He then inverts. When Zach gets this turtle position, positional control is so key. He angles. If you ever have feedback or something that I could do better, or if you see a move in my game that's like a hole or just something I could either positionally improve, I am so open to feedback. It's so helpful. It's not negative. It's somebody trying to help my game. Leave a comment. I definitely will work on it. We slap hands, and at this point, you know, sometimes you have nothing to lose, so why not just go for the new technique that you've been working on? Go in for a rolling Kimura, get the Kimura, but he is able to spin out, and now that he's trying to climb up on me like Khabib style, I shove his head down to be able to post on it. That way it limits his progression upwards, and he does a very interesting thing of hooking my leg. I wonder if that's to prevent a stand-up. Now Zach is on my back. As he's trying to choke me, I end up trying to slip out the back instead of holding on to my neck. He releases me, and then I go right in to attack his leg to try to get a heel hook or an ankle lock. A post to the face will help you out. Trying to get my knee in order to escape. Then I decide to make space through a technical stand-up. Frame him very hard in order to try to make enough space to do something. He ends up getting my back and has a figure 4 body control, and now he's trying to trap my top arm with his leg. Right now, my goal is to control the knuckle line of the choking arm, which right now is his bottom arm. Okay, let's try to make this not get worse. Let's try to control the knuckle line. Let's try to prevent him from trapping the top side arm. My goal here is to control his arms and try to get an overhook and also get past his bottom leg and clear that knee line. Now right here, watch Zach's bottom hook. Notice how he can transition from a back position to a top position, and the key is to maintain that bottom hook. Making sure I'm following Zach and circling my legs in order to prevent him from grabbing my leg. And then I'm doing, you know, just like light bicycle kicks on his knees and a little up kick to the face just to keep it unsporty. I like to train and imagine myself in an MMA fight or in a self-defense situation. That way I can keep my training more realistic. We start from standing, which I really enjoy doing. I am trying to get a good collar tie, trying to get a solid overhook, a solid underhook. Now I'm trying to get double underhooks. Usually double underhooks are positive. He uses overhooks to control my double underhooks. I am trying to get an outside trip. Uses a snap down to set up an outside trip. It's almost like a combination of an outside trip and a single leg. And then I get top position. One huge thing that Zach does very, very well and we can learn from is his ability to get to his knees and drive. My first coach, J. Jack, at the academy used to always joke about, you know I like you if we're taking a picture and I let you get underhooks. Underhooks are key from a positional standpoint. They enable you to control your opponent's torso. The reason why we pummel is to be able to get underhooks, preferably double underhooks. I thought underhooks good and better than overhooks. When I mentioned this to Zach, he's like, overhooks are good as well. I really didn't appreciate the control and use of an overhook in getting takedowns. We took a moment to basically play around with different takedowns, and he was showing me some of the takedowns that he is working on and likes to do. Right now, Zach is showing me how when you get an overhook, you can use that to drive forward and get a takedown using an overhook control, which is very useful to know. Since then, I developed game with the lateral drop throw. I love wrestling takedowns. They are they are the shiznit. Of course, anytime that, you know, I try something new, I completely and utterly like fail at it at first. Like it looks like this is, you know, I don't mean to judge myself. This is just like reality. Anybody that is good at takedowns or good at this throw and takedowns would look at it and be like, this is a steaming pile of dog poop on a cool fall day. You know, we have to all start somewhere, and I'm like really saying this in jest because if I'm afraid to fail, then I can never progress. I have to be shitty at everything in order to get good at anything. Okay, so get out there. Don't be afraid to fail. Embrace the failure. Failure is literally part of the process. It's such a cheesy quote that, you know, doesn't have a lot of meaning until you fail miserably. The only thing that I have control over is how I react to the possible reactions of my opponent. Saying, hey, you know, he has a fucking awesome break fall, and what can you do? That wouldn't get me anywhere. It's not a solution that has anything actionable that I can do next roll. Next time I'm rolling with somebody and the situation happens, what is the body position? That's my signal. Like, what happened in terms of my body position that did not allow me to get that top control? Looking at the situation at the moment, then T-3 seconds is often a better solution. Knowing what happened 3 seconds before you get armbarred is a lot more valuable than asking, how do I escape the armbar? Thank you very much for watching. If you've watched more than one video, come, I welcome you. Join the family so we can hang out. Thank you, Zach, for training with me. You're very good, And yes, until next time, bye.